Welcome to a new module on story writing. By now, you must have read a lot of stories. In childhood, you must have read Alice in Wonderland, Cinderella, you might have read The Beauty and the Beast. Then, of course, the tales from Panchtantra, The Lion and the Rabbit, The Miser, and whatnot. The Cap Seller and the Monkey, probably nobody must have missed. You might have enjoyed the adventures of Tom Sawyer and identified yourself there at times. And then, of course, there is a rich world of literature. You might have enjoyed Mowgli in the Jungle Book, or Packing, from which is an excerpt from Three Men in a Boat. The Open Window by Saki is full of suspense. So these are just few stories that I can enumerate right now. You might have read a lot of stories in a lot many languages, be it Hindi, English, Sanskrit, and if you know the other languages, you are more fortunate. Literature is basically a mirror of life. So after reading these stories, you might have traveled into different worlds altogether. The world of dreams, the world of adventure, the world of magic, the world of suspense, and somewhere or the other, you might have the urge also to create new yarns, to weave new yarns, to write the stories yourself. So these stories, of course, would be at the back of your mind always. What you have to do now is to take out your pen, pencil, paper, or simply first have a plot in your own mind. So herein, let's try how to write short stories. Believe me, you all know how to write a story. Only thing is just a consciousness of what you are doing now. Right? So if you have to write a short story, what will you do? There are a few things that you would definitely take note of. Think about a plot wherein what will happen now. Right? So you'll have to think about a plot. What will you do? What should your story be like? Who would be the main character? What would he do? Where would he be? And then how the story would move on and end. Fine. So this is actually what is there in a story. If you think of arranging your story, in technical terms we call it beginning, middle and ending. Beginning is just the introduction of the story. What happens? The setting where the story would take place. It could be someone's home. It could be a particular place. It could be a particular time period. So a setting is required for the beginning of the story. And a simple outline of who the character would be, around which or around whom the story would revolve. So it could be a fictitious character. It could be just a lively human being or even an animal. So in all these stories you would require the knowledge of setting. Where should the story take place? Quite simple. Then of course comes the middle part of the story. After you have identified the main character, the location where the story would take place, you think of developing the story further. And this is the main part, wherein your hero, the protagonist, must show that he is really the main protagonist. So you'll have to act on something. He might have something at the back of his mind when he sets forth. And then there must be a moment of crisis wherein he'll have to make some important decision or something happens to him. So this is how the story would move on. The main character would act. If there are other characters, you'll have to show how they are linked up and how they also support in carrying the story further. So this will be the middle part of the story. And then comes the resolution. Once you have involved all the characters or just one character into some action, he would have done quite a lot. He would have taken the decisions. He would have acted boldly. He might have a time wherein he could not do anything, and then someone comes and helps him, or a new idea strikes him and he continues his journey. So this would be the development of the story. And then comes the resolution or the ending of the story, which can be as per the expectations of the reader, or it could be completely different, which leaves the readers shocked and amazed, or it could be an open-ended question, what will happen now? Alright, so when we come to arrange the stories, we have a beginning, a middle, and an end. So you'll have something like, a plot for the story. What will the main story be like? Then how the characters would act, how they would move further. So you have the plot, a storyline, character or characters who would do something, a certain issue or theme, or it could be simply for fun and pleasure that something is happening. So everything goes on and finally it comes to an end. So this is what we have: the beginning, middle and end. So you will always realize that the stories are mostly in past tense, and it's easy. Science fictions are also there. You can create anything, but for the beginning, to begin with, it's always better to base it on something that happened in the past. And then all the ideas must be well linked up. You have to think of all possible ways to connect one idea with another and let the things move on smoothly. And then creativity is at the back of all the stories. Creativity can be in using new ideas altogether, or using the old ideas in a new form, and then of course making the stories rich with description. You can use a lot of adjectives to describe your character or the place, and don't forget to give it a title. So a number of things can be done when it comes to stories, right? So whenever we talk about these things, they are there. But then let's develop one story outline. Sometimes a story outline could be simply the beginning of the story. Sometimes a complete plot is given. That is what the story would be. And the creativity of the writer is how he is going to use those ideas and develop the story. So let's take a simple storyline and read without actually adding anything to it. So the outline given here is one day, and then there are some dash dash dash. A poor woodcutter was there. Then he was cutting trees. Then his axe fell into the river. The water was deep. The woodcutter was in tears. He did not know what to do. Then God Mercury realized that this man was troubled. So he came to him, asked his problem. He told him that his axe had fallen into the river. So the great god dives into the river. First he brings out a golden axe, shows it to him. He is not happy. He shows him another axe which is silver. He is not happy. Then God dives into the river again, brings an iron axe. Then the woodcutter is happy and God is pleased that he is quite honest and rewards him. So you can see that the bad plot is there. Now where does your creativity lie? You'll have to think of a setting. So when it is a woodcutter, he is cutting wood and his axe falls into the river. So the setting ultimately is there. Where should it be? It must be somewhere near a forest region. It must be some sort of a countryside, a village, where the woodcutter is sitting on a tree and cutting the wood, and the river is flowing just nearby, and so his axe falls into the river. So you have already got the setting for the story. Now the main character is the woodcutter. So woodcutter, since he is poor, he has a family. You'll have to think of that if he is all alone, it's something different, but if he has a family, he is worried. So you can add that he has a family and they are all poor, and if his axe has fallen into the river, what would he do? So great god Mercury comes down. There could be a simple dialogue wherein the god asks him what his problem is. He tells him the problem, and then God promises that he would help him. So there could be a dialogue wherein God says something. When he brings his silver axe or a golden axe and shows it to him, there can be a dialogue again. And then when he refuses and he keeps weeping, that time also you can add life into it. And towards the end you can really add to it by saying that God rewarded him. He was really pleased with his honesty and truthfulness. So right from the beginning till the end, we have the same thing. The setting is there. It must be that he is in a village and he survives by cutting wood, and he's sitting on a tree, axe falls. So the beginning is there. Then it continues, it moves on, that one day when he was, so we have shifted the action to one particular day, what happened on one particular day. And then he was worried that if his axe is missing, if it had fallen into the river and he cannot take it out, nor God can help him, then what will he do? So he is worried. And then comes the resolution part, wherein God brings an axe for him and he is happy. So this is how we can really connect the stories and ideas. So try your own hand. There is no shortage of ideas. Enjoy story writing. Thank you.